Hey guys, Infidel 1258 here. Today I'm coming to you from Kelowna, British Columbia, and I'm out at a family Bible camp with the kids, with my wife. We're having an amazing time. I'm on the lake right now, actually on the dock in front of the lake, but it's this gorgeous morning and it's before 7 a.m. It's like 6:45 in the morning, and there's just like one little sea-doo ripping around back there. So it's like now is the quiet time, the moment to get in here and try and record something with a beautiful background view. Look at that. Look at this stunning place. This is like hours from my home. And British Columbia, if you don't know, is just this like absolutely, it's a rainforest actually. We have so much forest, or at least historically we've had so much forest. We are technically a rainforest. And yet there's these amazing lakes and there's these beautiful skies that go on forever. In some parts of it, it's just like it's got one feel in one city and totally different in another. It's a lovely place, and if you haven't ever been, you should visit. But today I want to talk about the research. I was watching the Splinterlands town square, and I enjoyed that conversation. I don't know if you watched it. I'm recording this video probably 12 hours after that transpired. So if you haven't watched the Splinterlands town square, go watch it on YouTube. And you'll see Aggie and Weirdbeard engaging on a lot of topics, but one of the ones that I thought was worth diving into a bit deeper was research. Land will allow you to execute research. That research is going to move us closer to the secret of Praetoria. We've talked about a lot of this over the last year, I guess. Is it about a year? It was probably about a year since we really understood that there would be a secret and that we could work on that secret. Some of the things that I want to kind of summarize or talk about are touch points that we heard today or yesterday in that town square. But then also I want to speak more broadly about maybe some of the things we heard in the past that I still recall having heard. And then I want to speak a little bit about the importance of maybe acting early on this, not waiting for a future day when you better understand what this is. So let's talk about that today. So, land research. When you activate your land, you're going to be able to do a few things. In 1.5, which is happening this weekend, that's within days from the time I'm posting or recording, 1.5 should be available for, at least for test by the Mavs. That's the first piece of good news. And I think once we get our hands on it, I suspect you see this move quickly. I would really doubt that we will see this get to Mav and then there's this massive error that we see that slows it all down further. Now, that maybe I'm being optimistic, but I would think that if we were at a place where there were still massive bugs that were obvious, why would they be letting the Mavs touch it? Therefore, I'm a little confident that when the Mavs touch it, which should be this weekend, and again, that's a should, that we will therefore see it as within the population base of Splinterlands, next week. Is it a week away, 10 days? I don't know. But like they originally said, end of August is the target. And again, that is just a target, but feeling quite hopeful, at least for myself, to see that happen. One more side note, I've officially got my plots of land in Gankland, so shout out to Gank. Can't wait to be working hard on those plots and making it happen. And some of this video is going to be really like talking about how I'm going to be using it too. So let's say that too before we go any further. Okay, so you're going to be able to do a few things. What? You're going to be able to farm for grain. That's going to be really important actually, because you're not going to be able to buy it off the marketplace. There's going to be no liquidity pool for grain. So you got to buy grain either from the market, which means like essentially print it through burning DAC. That's option one. Or option two is you make it yourself. And making it yourself sounds relatively easy, and I think there's going to be a good amount of people that are going to do it, including myself. But here's the problem: you still got to clear that land. Second of all, you got to commit those monsters. Third of all, you got to feed those monsters. So it's actually really labor intensive to make this process happen. And I think there's going to be a ton of DEC that's going to be burnt through the course of making this, just getting land started. Because I've talked a lot about how the land staking requires cards, and that therefore DEC being staked into the land and how significant that might be. I really think that could, and not on day one, but within the first few months, if land is as good as it seems like it's going to be, I really believe that DEC staking into land will be significant, and could be so significant that it by itself, it won't eat up because it doesn't delete the DEC, it just stakes it, but it might consume in the sense of forcing it to be staked where it can no longer be used in other capacities. That DEC might be staked into land fully. Because remember, we have 4.7 billion DEC, but again, Aggie said again in this town square, we don't have 4.7 that's available. 1 billion's in the hands of Splinterlands. The game company is not spending that on cards. They're not burning that. They're not putting it into land. They're holding it for business operations purposes. So that's 3.7 billion. That's really. Then you've got some others that are being held in liquidity pools, etc., that are not available. So therefore, we literally have maybe 2.5, 3 billion that are available that could be used. I think land card staking could eat most of that if land launches well. Then you've got things like liquidity pools, 50 new ones that are going to come closer to 2.0, land 2.0. But like I just said, I think we're going to see a lot of DC being burned to create grain so that you can operate and actually farm your land. And especially one, because SPS staking is transferring from just holding plots to now having to earn it through staking and farming on your plots. And that means that some people who are eager to be the first one across that finish line to earn the SPS are going to pour all activity, all monsters, without any sort of consideration for grain, into SPS farming properties. And that means that they need to buy they have to buy grain from the marketplace, burning DC in the process. So exciting stuff. That's one of the things that you can do here, right? But also, we said we're going to talk about the research. So that's the other thing. Well, you can create grain, you can farm for SPS, which is obviously, we won't touch on that. I think this is exciting. If you want to see a video, I talked about that. I did do a video talking about that. I think you want to be the first across the finish line on that one. But let's focus in on the research. The research today in the town square, or yesterday, Agro spoke to the research topic quite a bit. People were asking. One question I saw from, I think it was Maury. Was it Moriarty? I wasn't watching the video, so I don't know if it was, but they called him Maury. And he asked the question to Agro. He said, "Why would why would I want to focus?" Okay, first point before we get to that question. He said, Agrid and Weirdbird said that the secret of Praetoria is going to take a year at least to unlock, and it might be years to unlock. And so it's this and then they hinted, and they've hinted before, that it will be multi-level, like there'll be tiers to the release of it. They didn't say that explicitly. And so I want to be clear. They didn't say there will be tier, like you'll get level 1 and you want to be first to level 1 and then there's level 2 later, etc. They didn't say that exactly. But they have implied that before. And then today or yesterday in the town square, they did say, Agrid said, or Weirdbird said, there'll be more iterations and information on this as we go forward, as we learn how it launches and as we watch it. And Matt's going to have input on it. And there was an implication that it will evolve, and even a hint again that there will be elements of it that you'll want to like lock in. You'll want to be first to like phase 1 of the secret and phase 2, etc. That's not their language. I'm reading between the lines, but I think that's one of the elements you need to recognize here, because I do think there will be distinct advantages to being like an early adopter, a person who does this well. These guys are crypto people. They're not people, they get it. They're gonna be ones that are incentivized early adopters. They've always done that. They've look at alpha cards, look at, early land investors had access to, I think you got totems if you bought early. Obviously you got great financial bonuses on what the plots were worth. I feel as though they've always done things to honor the early adopters, and I think it'd be surprising to me if people who were committing to research weren't seeing some benefit out of that in the future. And I think the core benefit that I would expect is what I've just said, which is land isn't going to be one project that ends in 12 months or 24 months. It's going to be essentially 20 projects or 10 projects. And those milestones throughout the project are going to unlock pieces that are going to be beneficial to you and to your colleagues in your cohort within your tract or region. So one thing that I'm expecting is that This secret is going to unlock massive bonuses to what we're going to be able to receive and produce, and how we're going to farm our land. I don't exactly know what that's going to mean, but I'm expecting it to. I don't know, maybe we'll have 20% bonuses on land production, 10%, 15%. Imagine if it was like ultimately you could unlock a 50% bonus, but phase 1 of Secret of Praetoria is a 5% bonus, and phase 2 is a 10, and right, and maybe it looks like it's a 5 at first. It's a 5% bonus on how fast you can farm. You can produce off your land, whether it's research or SPS or grain, and then later secondary bonuses could be how fast you clear land, etc., etc. I would expect there to be bonuses, and I would expect it not to be one massive bonus, but many iterative bonuses that stack upon one another. So in that way, I think the question that Maury asked and Agrid answered, saying, Maury's question was, why would I commit to research right now when I could farm SPS or grain? Those are going to have tangible, instant impact for me. Or I could defer that, set that aside, and focus on this research, which I don't even know when the project's going to end, and I don't even know what it's going to, how the rewards are going to, what they're going to mean for me. And I think that the answer that Agrid said was essentially what I just said, which is that you need to focus on the long-term play. Well, he did say, like, we need to have Matt speak to that, because it was kind of it was almost like a critique question around why did we focus in this way? Why? Because it seems as though a whale could just rush in late and go hard and then steal the victory. But I think Matt's vision is going to be one where he understands that, and it's going to be one where he says, no, we're gonna create stages of reward in this. Again, that's a presumption, but I think that's the path here, guys. I don't know what you think, but if that's the path, I think you can imagine that starting early on research makes a lot of sense, because you're going to see certain benefits that others won't. And then, yeah, maybe they come in hard later and they end up stealing some of the big sort of thunder, because they can move the needle and grow their research more rapidly than you can. But I think early adopters are going to see some distinct advantages. And that's a speculation, but man, we're at a place of speculation. So, and things are getting real too. So that's the other cool thing. It's like, yeah, we don't really know on these things, but man, we will know soon. We're days or maybe weeks away. I'm pumped, and I hope you are too. And thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks so much for supporting the channel. And guys, I hope you have an amazing day. God bless.